Wasabi guys, welcome back to another Market Watch video. Back for the 21st of April, we have some price changes that are coming as a result of the spoilers from Streets of New Capenna. You're going to see a lot of Commander impact here. I think that's where some of it's coming from. But before I get into it, first I would like to remind you, if you have not already, please do subscribe to the channel. If you like the videos, I like making them for you, and I really do want to help you guys out here in the future. First card to talk about is Scarblade Elite. We're talking about a very niche card, a very specific card that if you're focusing on assassins, you're going to want it. The only problem though is that most people don't really care about assassin tribal. We do have the new commander option from the New Capenna commander deck, Mari the Killing Quill. She is an assassins, mercenaries, and rogues commander option, where her ability does benefit that kind of creature tribal. And while I wouldn't say it's the most focused on assassins, I'm not at all surprised to see that any kind of card that is any kind of assassin tribal card would see a boost from this news. So the ability is pretty simple. You tap to remove an assassin card in your graveyard from the game to destroy target creature. Tap to destroy a creature has been around for quite some time, but to have it on a creature that's only 2 mana in black, I think is above average. Avatar of Woe has been one of my favorite cards in black for a long time, even though it's not really practical anymore. It just goes to show how much faster and stronger the format has become. But Scarblade Elite, if assassins become really anything dominant, you know it's going to be a standout card. So for it to go from pennies, this rare from Morningtide, to suddenly above a $2 card, I think it's definitely worth talking about. Percentage-wise, that's a pretty big deal. Of course, what I think is more important to keep an eye out on, I wouldn't recommend buying and selling a ton of Scarblade Elites. It's really just the speculation and being future ready for any possible assassin focused strategies. So if you are interested in Scarblade Elite, I think now would still be the time to buy it. $2 is pretty cheap for the average rare, especially if it's a rare that's this good where you can tap to destroy a creature. You do have to remove an assassin card in your graveyard, but I think if we do get the future support, it is going to be something worth looking into. Next big gainer for the week is Viridian Revel, and this was a gainer from last year that this is, believe it or not, one of the first short videos that I made that really blew up. I talked about it in response to a lot of the new treasure token strategies that were really taking over Commander after Prosper Tomebound, and you can even go back and see on that chart the first spike is right around before the new Innistrad set, and that's really after when I started talking about it and people were like, hey, wait a minute, this guy got like 80,000 views just talking about this card, and then it went from like 10 cents to $2 and it started to settle, and now we see a lot more treasure token support, and it's getting up to around 5. So what it does, I think it's very specific to the strategies in Commander, but if token strategies are becoming more prominent, we see them all the time now. Benefiting off of that in green is actually pretty underrated. So whenever they sacrifice a treasure token, you're going to be able to draw a card. It's that simple. I shouldn't have to say it for the 1,000,000th time, but for some people I do. Tokens technically hit the graveyard, so when you sacrifice your treasure tokens, this will trigger Viridian Revel. It happens each time, so if they want to sacrifice a bunch, they should probably do it before this card resolves. If they don't, you're getting a ton of card draw. Up next, another big gainer for the week, we have Maze's End. Very fun win con. I think it's one of the most fair win cons in the Commander format, and it's coming out of nowhere. I really don't know why, but you can see the average market price is $10, the foil price is above $30, and the average listing is also above $10. Looking at the chart, it's been under $5 forever, and I've seen the new Commander set, I've seen the new Streets of New Capenna set. There aren't any new gates. I really don't know why this is starting to go up in price, because it also doesn't strike me as a competitive win con either. I just don't know how much more viable it can possibly be if your deck isn't already entirely focused on winning through it. Usually with a Maze's End strategy, people can see it coming from a mile away. Oh, you used your 5th straight land tutor card just searching up a gate? Regardless, it is going up in price, and looking at the chart again, it's been under $5 forever. For it to get up to 10 and above is pretty much a miracle. Dragon's Maze wasn't the best set. It has a lot of bulk cards, and I know win cons are fun. A lot of people pay attention to win cons. It doesn't necessarily make them valuable, and that's again why it hasn't been a very expensive card. So if you told me that going into Streets of New Capenna that Maze's End would go up to above 10, I honestly would think you're joking. It's definitely possible for it to be future ready. We could always get more gate cards, We did go from 10 gate cards to 11 when we returned to Ravnica for the third time, but even then, I mean, it's still a very linear strategy. Most people will see it coming. I guess it's just cool to talk about it. We have another gainer here in Sieve talking about another win con. It's not a straight up win con as in the card itself will just win you the game on the spot. Of course, you do need a way to create more artifacts in order to sacrifice 5 more, taking another turn, keep that going. Those combos, of course, do exist, and it's now getting close to around $10. We're seeing another win con option here that is getting way above where it previously was. I'm not the biggest fan of Sieve, and that's because I'm not really the biggest fan of taking extra turns. So unless you're able to abuse it, I don't think most people bother putting it in their decks. Only reason why you would is if you are ready to take another additional turn, and the whole purpose behind those decks is to basically just force your opponents to concede. That's why I hate additional turns. People ask me this sometimes. It's not like just straight up winning because of an infinite combo. You are basically sitting there knowing that you're probably going to win, but you don't know 100% sure if you are. So you do kind of go through the effort of playing out your combo, getting another additional turn, and everyone else there is pretty much your prisoner until you decide, hey, I do have the actual win here 2 hours later when everyone else has paid attention and thought that they could get back into the game. I hate extra turns. I hate decks that are built specifically to just take as many extra turns as they want to, but I do know that people are looking into this card. It is a 2-mana blue and black artifact win con, so it's relatively easy to pull off. The fact that it's getting around $10 is definitely worth paying attention to. We get to talk about Despotic Scepter now from Ice Age. This is a card that's also seeing close to 10. It's above $8 right now. Again, always pay attention to the market value. That's going to be the best indication of what the card is actually worth at the time, and all it does is allow you to destroy a target permanent that you own. Usually on this website, MTG Stocks, there's some explanation as to why these sudden price changes occurred, but so far I have no idea why this is going up. It has to be part of some kind of combo, otherwise I wouldn't really believe it being above a $10 card. It's not on the reserve list. It's from Ice Age, which isn't that great a set. However, it also doesn't have a reprint, so there is that explanation for it potentially going up because of that. There's got to be some kind of combo involving this. Of course, it would be 1,000 times better if it allowed you to destroy a permanent you control without having to tap it, but I think it really is because of the lack of reprints and it coming from a set in 1995. You do sometimes see a buyout for these cards, so that could be the explanation why. Now we move on to the losers here. We have Launch the Fleet from Journey into Nyx. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not the biggest fan of this card, just because I don't really think it does much. I think people were kind of looking a little bit too far into the Hinata strategy, where you could reduce the cost of a card for each target it had. However, this one just gives you more 1/1 white soldiers. It's not awful in Commander, but it's also not great. So you're seeing it going from around a $4 card to back down to reality. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come crashing down below $1. You do see this sometimes when people experiment in other formats. People will try to make something work in Modern until it no longer proves to be effective. I guess Launch the Fleet was a failed experiment because it did show some life there. I mean, getting up to $4, it's definitely worth paying attention to. But now that we see it coming down quite a bit, I think people are losing interest, whatever interest they did have. And the second loser and the last card to talk about today is Agent of Treachery. This is a great card. It is 7 mana, but we know its effectiveness. It has been above $10 a couple times, but now it is coming back down after getting rejected again. I've talked about this a couple times before in my Market Watch videos. There are support levels and there are resistance levels. Resistance levels are where, when you look at the chart, it doesn't break that level and hold it for a long time. So you can see back around Ikoria in between M21 where it got above $10 and then it immediately fell back down. And then you see around Strixhaven where it also got back above $10 and then it came right back down. This is yet another effort to get above $10. It didn't even reach the $10 mark this time, unfortunately, but you can see that resistance level is starting to lower. So it is now approaching the $7 area. Quite frankly, if it keeps this up, I would expect it to get back down under $5. It's a great card. It's an awesome card for Commander. However, because of the mana cost, I think a lot of Commander players want to play faster. So when they're looking to play a 7 mana creature, they want something more than just taking control of a target permanent. You know, they want to deal a bunch of damage. They want to destroy several permanents. You can play blink strategies and take control of several permanents with this card. However, because it is fairly costed for what it does, I think a lot of people are over it. It doesn't quite have the same impact in a multiplayer game that it does in a 1v1 game where you just have one opponent there. Taking control of their best permanent is a little bit more impactful. I don't think it's going to be a dirt cheap card, but it may not be above a $10 card anytime soon. So anyway, let me know what you think about the market watch for this week, April 21st, 2022. Let me know what you think of the new set Streets of New Capenna. As always, Commander Void here. I will see you all next time.